Hello, ladies and gentlemen, loyal Imperial citizens and rebel scum alike. Welcome to another Leah Maiden gameplay video. Back with more Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes today, where we're going to be engaging in some speculation, a little bit of a thought experiment about important Star Wars characters that are missing from the game, and maybe just speculating on how and when they might be added to the game. So right now, I'm just going to give you my top 5 characters that I think are missing from the game, and that I think really need to be added sooner rather than later. So obviously this is coming on the back of some really great recent new additions to the game. So we had Admiral Piet, obviously, just last week, a great addition. If you want to see more about that, you can check out the video that I made on him, link in the top right hand corner, and that was quickly followed by the announcement of 2 new Galactic Legends. Of course, we now know we're going to be getting Grand Master Luke and a sort of Supreme Emperor Palpatine, so the sort of uber final version of Palpatine, which hopefully is going to have just all the tags, because Palpatine has really been the big bad throughout the entirety of the Star Wars saga, so I'm actually really excited for him. And then on top of that, we obviously just learned that the login reward, the login character for this month, September 2020, is IG-88, and that has caused a lot of speculation. The login character does seem to be linked to Capital Games, their upcoming developments. They sort of feed us clues through the login rewards. So it has been speculated that IG-88 could be a little clue, a little suggestion that we might be getting some more Mando content soon, specifically another IG droid, maybe IG-11. So while we're all excited about that, I just wanted to make this quick video to go over the top 5 characters I think Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is missing. Number 1. Well, right off the bat, we've already mentioned, I think this has to be IG-11 / the Child. So continuing with the Mando theme, obviously earlier in the year, we got Mando himself, the Mandalorian, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune. They were great additions, but that was it. We're kind of starved for Mando content right now. What with the 2nd season trailer about to drop kind of any moment now, I can't wait for that. I think this is a prime time to give us a little bit more content, and who better than IG-11 and the Child. Now, in my mind, I think these should come in as the same unit, as a twofer. So it'd be something like the 3PO and Chewie unit that we also got as a marquee unit earlier this year. So I think this unit would have to be light side. I mean, they made Mando light side, and the Child's involved. I think if the Child's involved, this really has to be a light side unit, and I would see it filling a kind of support or maybe an attack role. Again, an awful lot like the 3PO unit, so you'd have the 2 of them there, IG-11 looking after the Child, so you wouldn't be able to do damage to the Child. You'd have to get through IG-11 to do that. That'd be where you get the buff and any attack from, and of course then the Child themselves would be there to provide support to other units, to use the force power to manipulate other team members, giving them buff, maybe giving them stealth, maybe removing buffs from enemies or switching buffs around. I don't know, something like that. I think you could get pretty creative with it, and then you could have an actual attack as well. So mostly this unit, I'd see it being support, but you could also have attack through IG-11. That's the way I imagine that unit being introduced to the game, but I could be totally wrong. Maybe we're going to get a standalone IG-11 and a standalone Child, in which case I guess IG-11 is going to be along the lines of IG-88, basically an attacker, and the Child, I guess maybe something like Hoda, Hermit Yoda, I suppose. I'm not really sure. I think this is definitely a unit that needs to be added to the game. Both these characters need to be in Galaxy of Heroes. That's the way I would see them being added. What do you think? Let me know down below. Number 2, Jabba the Hutt. Now, this, I think, is a huge omission. I actually kind of can't believe that we haven't had Jabba the Hutt, the Hutts at all, but specifically Jabba the Hutt, represented in this game in any way. And I think it's about time they included him. Now, one of the maybe obvious difficulties would be the size. Jabba is just huge, so how are you going to introduce Jabba into the game? I think they could make it work. Maybe he'd be kind of a background character that didn't really move. Of course, all the other characters kind of jump forward when they attack. I don't really see Jabba being dynamic on the screen. Maybe he'd just be kind of a big presence in the background. And I definitely would see him being a support character. I envisage this character being a neutral or dark side character. I think that the real reason to introduce a Jabba the Hutt character to the game would be a great way to utilize some of these forgotten or underused tunes. I'm looking at the Tusken Raiders. I'm looking at the Gamorrean Guard. I'm even looking at bounty hunters and scoundrels. This could be another way to use them. Plus, you could introduce more Hutt-type characters, whether they're actual Hutts. Zero Hutt is another Hutt that comes to mind from Clone Wars, for example. I think you could have a lot of fun here bringing in this criminal element as another kind of faction in the game, whether they use the neutral tag or whether they stick to dark. Number 3, Hondo. Now, this is once again in this kind of neutral territory. I don't know about Hondo, so if you're not familiar with Hondo, the reason I really think he needs to be included in the game is because he is a huge part of the Star Wars universe in Clone Wars and in Rebels. He's a massive part of the storyline, and I think it's kind of crazy in a way that he's not yet been included in the game. I think he would make a great scoundrel leader, and once again I think he would straddle that line between the scoundrels, the bounty hunters, maybe the Hutts if they did introduce this criminal underworld kind of faction, and straddle the line between neutral, dark, and light. I'm not really sure where you'd put Hondo. He's not kind of a typical bad guy, but he's certainly not 100% a good guy. I mean, there are definitely times when he betrays our heroes and leaves them for dead. Again, I think the neutral tag, he's out for profit, would be a great fit for Hondo. Another great advantage for him would be that he has a ship. I think he could be a ship pilot too, and this would be another great way to revitalize that whole kind of bounty hunter scoundrel ship situation, which is kind of stagnating a little bit. Number 4 is Darth Bane. Now, this one is maybe a little bit outside the box. I'm going to completely level with you here. I originally had the idea for this video, and I came up with 5 characters I wanted to see in the game, and this 4th spot here was for Emperor Palpatine, for a supreme version of Emperor Palpatine. And then what happened? Capital Games announced the Galactic Legend version of the supreme version of Emperor Palpatine. Okay, totally fine. Means I was on the right track. I'm really pleased they're introducing him to the game, but it meant I then had this spot to fill on my list here. So Darth Bane seems like a substitution to me. Now, Darth Bane, for those of you who aren't familiar, was an ancient Sith Lord. He is the reason that we have the Rule of 2. It was Darth Bane that came up with the Rule of 2. There can only be 2 Sith at any one time, the Master and the Apprentice. He has a huge influence, therefore, over the development of the Star Wars universe, and his shadow is kind of cast across everyone, including Palpatine. Now, he's not obviously as well known. Maybe wouldn't be as much of an addition to the game as Palpatine, as hopefully the Galactic Legends Palpatine is going to be, but I still think it'd be really fun to have some more Sith in the game, and some more powerful Sith too. I think you could introduce him as a pretty cool legendary character. I don't see him being a Galactic Legend. By the way, I don't see any of the characters that I've introduced so far being Galactic Legends. I think these would just be regular legendary. And you know what, in the case of Hondo, maybe in the case of the child IG-11, probably they're just marquee characters. I don't know. Jabba the Hutt could go either way. But Darth Bane, I think, should be a straight-up legendary character, an old-fashioned legendary character. He should have his own legendary campaign that you have to complete, and then I think he'd be a really powerful Sith along the lines of Jedi Knight Revan and Malak in the game. I think he'd just be a great fun attacker and probably leader, and maybe you could have some fun in terms of there only being 2. I don't know if it'd be possible. I don't know anything about coding or how the game works. I don't know if it'd be possible to give this character buffs if it's only him and 1 other Sith in the team. So if you're underdogging things and you're only bringing in 2 characters, Darth Bane and Darth Revan, for example, Darth Bane and Bastila Shan Fallen, Darth Bane and Darth Vader, 2 Sith on the team, maybe he'd have extra bonuses or extra boosts, or he could call in other people, or I don't know, but I feel like you could get quite creative with this character with that Rule of 2 idea there, and I think he'd just be a really fun attacker dealing massive damage. And then the final one, number 5. So these weren't really introduced in any particular order, but I did purposely save this one till the end. Ladies and gentlemen, the 5th character that I think is missing from the game is General Leia Organa. Now, I think it's a massive omission that we don't have her in the game yet, and I think, personally, they must be planning a Galactic Legend. Maybe not, maybe they're going to make some kind of Jedi version of her to include in Galactic Legends, but either way, I think we desperately need another version of Leia in the game. And since General Organa was such a huge part of the sequel movies, such a huge part of the Resistance, I really think she has to be in here somewhere. I mean, we've got like, how many Hans? Like 5 or 6 different versions of Han. We've got 3 Lukes now, but only 2 Leias in the game. I think she desperately needs to be here. I would envisage her as actually being a Galactic Legend, or I guess maybe if they want to really go down the general route and keep some kind of Jedi version for the Galactic Legends, maybe they're envisaging Galactic Legends only being Force users in their kind of version that actively uses the Force. I don't know. Maybe you could just have her be a legendary, but I don't think this should be a marquee character. It should be legendary in some form. I think she has to be a leader. I think she's got to have cool abilities to manipulate and buff the rest of the team, and just because it's Leia, I think you've got to also see her using that blaster, right? But of course, I think she also needs to be a fleet commander. I think this would be another way to get another Resistance ship up there. General Leia Organa also being a fleet commander, I think it'd be a great way to do that, and I think she'd be awesome addition. And personally, I can't wait to see her. She must be in the works somewhere. So there we go. That's my 5. The Child / IG-11, Jabba the Hutt, Hondo, Darth Bane, and General Organa. They're the 5 characters that I think right now are really missing from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and that I'd most like to see introduced to the game. But what do you think? Did I miss anyone? If you were to come up with 5, would we have much overlap on our lists? Did I miss someone that you really think should be included in the game? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me today. If you did enjoy this video in any way, please consider giving it a like, a thumbs up down below, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. See you on the next video. In the meantime, look after each other. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.